Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michala, and in today's video I'm going to be filling out my reading journal with the books I read in January. This is my new reading journal for 2026, so I filmed a setup video for my yearly spreads that I did in this notebook. If you want to see that, that video is already up. But this will be my first month of book spreads. It's the beginning of February when I'm filming this, and I just finished my January books, so let's light my candle and we'll make spreads for the books I read. With that lit, let's open this up. I have a tea here with me. It's just a raspberry herbal tea, but I encourage you to grab a tea or a cozy drink if you want to journal along with me, or just have something cozy while you watch. I think I will leave, this is my last yearly spread in here, but I think I will leave 1-2 blank spreads just for my end of the year wrap up spread. I might want to have 1 or 2 whole spreads to do that in, so I'm just going to leave 2 empty spreads between my yearlies and my monthlies, and then we'll start January on this layout. Okay, so I picked out a couple ephemera pieces that I want to possibly use. I am thinking of doing this kind of lunar theme, kind of like the beginning of my year spreads, but this is going to be, I think, more muted colors instead of blues. We'll see. In January, I read 4 books, so I will want 4 little frames to put the titles of the books in, so I picked out some. We'll see what I use. I have some moon stickers, and these items, everything down here except for the frames, are from the same set from Amazon. I have like a lunar set of ephemera and a floral set, both from Amazon, that have paper and sticker combos that I use a lot in my reading journals. I love to have a variety of ephemera, but I also just like to use what I have and not get too complicated sometimes. So I like the packs of ephemera that have pieces of paper and stickers that go together with a certain theme, because you can use them in a lot of different ways. I was thinking of using this Atlas moth. You know I love moths and butterflies if you've seen my videos, and I just feel like this Atlas moth maybe kind of goes with the moon theme to me and these more muted colors. January is still wintry, of course, but I don't have that much winter ephemera, and I'm thinking the more muted ephemera works as well. So that's my thoughts for this, and let's just see if we layer things around how it looks. I have these, I think they're called paint or ink splotch stickers. If you can see them, they show up better against the white. And these ones are just like black, but they kind of look like galaxy to me, galaxies. So maybe we'll do something like this. I like that, and then maybe I could do some little moths. I mean, I think a lot of these are butterflies, but you know, some of them might be moths. I can't even really tell if all of them are very accurate, to be honest with you. But whether or not they're moths or butterflies, I could use a couple of them that are similar colors throughout this side. Could be pretty. And this little booklet is also from Amazon, I believe. And then I have these silver stickers that I could put around maybe. Or I have these from Happy Planner. They're in like a big booklet that I use a lot. And these black ones could be nice. They'd probably stand out a lot against the white. So I'm going to put these to the side because I think I'll use those. Okay, and I think this is actually looking pretty good. It's a little messy, but I think we'll clean that up as I stick things down. I think I'm going to go ahead and start sticking these things down. these frames. Some look like kind of MP3 player-ish, and some I have look like film strips, and they are all from Amazon as well. When I started off my reading journals, I got a lot of packs from Amazon to start, so I can link them below if you are interested. But they've lasted me a long time as well, and I use them in a lot of different ways. I might want to put this berry kind of sticker here. I know it's more of a moon theme, but I feel like I always like to add moss and plants and greenery in if I can. I think I will add this. I have these smaller red berries I might put over here somewhere. Okay, I think this looks really good, and now I want to put January down here, and I think I will try to use my letter stickers for the title. I think I'll try to use these ones. I think I have to use uppercase and lowercase because I don't have enough R's or A's on the uppercase. There we go. There's the title. And now I can write the titles of the books in the frames. I read 4 books, like I said, and one was Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild. One was The Harp of Kings by Juliet. Do you say her last name Marillier or Marillier? Because I thought it was Marillier, but then I'm pretty sure the audiobook that I was listening to pronounced it Marillier. So I'm gonna say Marillier. The Harp of Kings by Juliet Marillier. And then one book I read was nonfiction, because one of my goals this year is to read more nonfiction and to read more classics. So in February, I'm trying to read classics, but in January, I did read a nonfiction called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I believe it has an even longer title than that, like a secondary title, by Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I'll put that one in this bigger area. And then the last book I read was a Christmas romance. Even though it was January, I decided to read it anyway because it was on my winter TBR, and it's Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. There is my cover spread for January, and now we can do the first book spread. Tea break. Okay, so the first book I read in January was Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild, and I'm gonna put the cover over here and see how I want to decorate this spread. So this book was a really interesting start to 2026. It is, I would say, so it has a lot of genres on Goodreads, but I would say it's contemporary literary fiction with romance and a mystery thriller twist like edge to it. So it's pretty suspenseful, but essentially it follows this family of the wife Honor and the husband Tom, and they have a daughter and they're trying to have another baby, but they're having trouble getting pregnant, and so Honor gets a surrogate, and there are a lot of different like twists and turns and secrets. The book has a lot to do with kind of like secrets, and that's kind of the suspenseful part of it, is you don't know if the secrets are going to come to light or not. It is a story about relationships, but I'll talk about it more in a second. I wanted to show you the cover of it. This is just my home printer printed it off so you can see some banding. I think I'm running out of some of my ink, but the faces on the cover have like this line work sketched element to them that almost makes the faces look woven on the actual book cover. This is not showing it that well. Something about it is reminding me of brush strokes, and I thought maybe for no other reason than that, I might use my Van Gogh washi tapes from EB. I just think like the brushwork in these Van Gogh tapes kind of reminds me of the cover, and there are art references in this book. Let me just grab a couple of these. I think these ones are good. But yeah, they quote a poem a lot in the book, and they go to a museum at some point, an art museum, and the museum has a gallery exhibition by the artist Kusama, and I thought that was really cool because they describe going into some of Kusama's pieces are like interactive, and she has a room of infinite mirrors, and I actually got to go in that same room of mirrors at the High Museum in Atlanta, so I thought that was cool that they were describing it, and I could really picture it because I had participated in it myself when I saw the exhibition in Atlanta. So that was really cool, and I think I'll use this brown paper that peels off on one side and rip this to add some text in there, and then my brown paper. I think I'll start with this. But yeah, this book had a lot of kind of like ups and downs. It's very emotional. You may want to check trigger warnings. I think hopefully you will know yourself and if you want to check trigger warnings or not. You know, I know sometimes they kind of spoil things for people, but if you think that you would be bothered by certain triggering things, definitely look up the trigger warnings. I feel like, again, I don't really know how I feel about it. It won a Goodreads award, I believe. I saw it on Goodreads, like under 2025 awards. It is Loretta Rothschild's debut novel, so it makes sense that it would win an award. It is, in some ways, like I would say the writing and the concept in some ways, I mean, everything's subjective, but I would say in some ways it's objectively good, but in other ways it's very subjective and up to opinion, if that makes sense. Like the writing was good, but it's really going to depend on what kind of characters you like, because there is, I guess in terms of tropes, I mentioned there's secrets, right? So there is a lot of lying in the book, and that can rub people the wrong way. I mean, I obviously do not prefer lying, but if you can look past that and see kind of like why the characters are lying, what they're lying about, that kind of thing, you might really like it, because it is kind of like a redemptive story, kind of like a second chance story. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do these tapes in here. I might want to do this Starry Night one at the top, and then do the irises at the bottom. I guess I will say that the secret keeping aspect could really get on your nerves. It started to get on my nerves for sure. I pushed through. I listened to the audiobook. I still enjoyed it. I knew a lot of people gave it 5 stars. I just don't know. I feel like sometimes I think of it and it's very memorable, so I want to give it like 4 stars. Other times I just didn't agree with a lot of what the characters were doing, so it makes me want to give it more like 3 stars. And then for just pure like uniqueness, sometimes I wanted to give it 5 stars. Like I don't know. It's a very interesting book. I'm losing light, so I think I will do this spread and then I might have to finish this up tomorrow. But let's see how far we can make it. I'm layering this other tape from the Van Gogh set. And I might just do greenery because I don't really have anything that particularly fits this book other than the like Van Gogh stuff, like I said, the art, pulling from the artistic side of the story. I have these new stamps as well, and I'm planning to post a stationery haul soon, so if that's not up already, that should be up soon, just for some new spring stuff I received. And I feel like these kind of give a similar artistic feeling that the Van Gogh tapes give, so I think I might try to do some of these flower groupings as background elements. This is like a little stem, these are little leaves. Let's see about this. I also have a set of pet tape that I got a while ago, and these are not pre-cut things on here, so I will have to cut them out, but I think I want to use some of them, so let's cut right here. I also have this one that came in the same set. And then this one also came in that set. Okay, now let's cut some of these individual things out. I'm getting this green Tombow and I'm just going to connect the sides. Go. I haven't stuck any of this down yet, so I'm still looking at everything. I think this looks good, so I'm going to start placing the larger stickers and the smaller ones after that. I don't always make the theme of the spread go with the book. I just like the colors to go. Every now and then I do like to do like a woodland theme when it's a fairy tale book and things like that. But this theme, I thought these little magnifying glasses were like a subtle indicator of the kind of mystery and thriller element of this story. I did listen to this book on audio, and I thought the narrator was really good. I think she might be popular for doing audiobooks. I'm not sure. I believe the narrator's name is Fiona Button, but I thought she did a really great job. I just thought the story is told in third person like omniscient. So I don't know. I don't know if I've read or listened to a book told like in that point of view for a long time, in a while. So that was a different change. I think that came together really nicely, and now I'm going to see if I have enough letter stickers to do the title of the book. Let's see if I have enough in this pink color. I think I do. Let's try it. There we go. I think that looks really good, and now we can write about it. Yeah, this book was just so interesting because if you look at reviews on Goodreads, I mean, don't look at any spoilers if you don't want them, but even the reviews that I saw just up at the top were 5 stars, and then other ones were 1 star. I think it's a bit of a polarizing book because some people in their description said the characters were lovable and you would fall in love with them, and then other reviews said that they hated all of the characters. I have to say, I feel like I did not like the characters very much, but I still thought they were interesting, and I had like sympathy for the things that I didn't like about them. And it was still a very fascinating like character study. It wasn't purely just awful people by any means. It was kind of, you know, showing you the good and the hard side of life and love, I guess. Definitely very interesting. Look it up on Goodreads and see if you'd be interested in reading it. It won a lot of awards, and definitely if you read it, comment and let me know, even if you like loved it or if you hated it. Just comment and like tell me why, because no judgment at all. I could see reasons to love and really dislike this book, and I feel like that's why it's so hard for me to give it a rating. But if you don't really cast judgments on the characters and what they're doing, you know, similar to maybe you would when you're reading a thriller, right? Like you usually don't read a thriller and then comment on the fact that someone was killed or something. Does that make sense? You don't usually read a thriller if you're going to be upset that someone dies, that kind of thing. This book, if you don't mind that the characters are sometimes doing things that you disagree with, definitely, you know, there are a lot of good aspects to this book, and I'm really impressed that it was her debut novel. I've never written a full book yet, but I mean, there's definitely part of me that aspires to be a writer and would be proud if this was a brainchild of mine. You know what I'm saying? Like there are definitely things that I enjoyed about the book. And it's a really unique concept, and the way it's told was also really unique. I will also say that if you get this book from the library or something, read the first chapter. Just read the first chapter, and I think you will know if you want to continue it. So that's my official recommendation. Not really a full yes recommendation, not a don't read it, just maybe read the first chapter and then see if you want to continue. I am happy that I read something that's more unique and different for me. I obviously read a lot of fantasy, if you've seen my reading journals, and I read a lot of fiction. This is still fiction, but it's like literary fiction and just a little different for me. So it was a good time. Overall, I'm happy that I picked it up. And this book did make me think about it a lot when it was over, and that does say something, even if it was not the best. I do think that has, you know, it says something if you're still thinking about it a while after you've read it. I would definitely pick up another book by Loretta Rothschild if and when she writes another one, and I think I will just fill in some areas with little diamond star type of things. And I think I will settle on 3 stars. Maybe 3.5, but we'll just put 3. Star ratings are not everything to me. That's why I like to pair my star rating with a review. It just paints a better picture of what I was feeling and thinking, because star ratings, the more of them I do, the better I get at gauging where each book sits in the rating of all of the books I've ever read, you know what I mean? But over time, your preferences change and you like different things. So at the time, I feel like this is a 3-star read for me. And there we go. There we have this book all written about. And now I will flip the page, but I will wait for better lighting to do the next book. Okay, so it's later and I finished my tea, but I'm back to do the next spread, which is The Harp of Kings by Juliet Marillier. And this book was really fun. It's a fantasy with like Celtic Gaelic influence and storytelling. And it's my first Juliet Marillier book. I have since actually started Daughter of the Forest. I've heard that's some people's favorite by her, and so I'm listening to that currently. I didn't continue this series yet, but I might. I really did like it. I liked a lot of things about it, but it was a little bit slow and the plot was kind of meandering. The story follows Livon, who is training to be a Swan Island warrior with her brother Brock, and she and her brother and another classmate who's also trying to become a Swan Island warrior get sent on a mission, and that happens right away in the beginning of the book. And the mission is to recover an ancient harp that is used to coronate the king. So it's like a symbol of kingship, and the harp has gone missing. So they're sent on a mission to go undercover and use different names in order to try to find the harp. But the mission is very secretive, and so they aren't given all of the details. They don't know exactly everything, but they are told to use fake names. And the book is told in chapters from Livon's point of view, Brock, and their warrior teammate named Dow. Livon and Dow are kind of like rivals in terms of they're competing to win a place of honor at the Swan Island school, but they aren't like enemies really. I think I will do a kind of forest theme. There are kind of fairy type people in this book, and the feeling of the book is very like Celtic and Gaelic inspired, with very beautiful writing and forest imagery throughout. And Livon and Brock go undercover as traveling musicians because Brock has singing and harp playing talent, and Livon does as well. But they all go undercover with different names, so the beginning of the book was a little confusing because they're referred to occasionally as their real names and as their made-up names, so that was a little hard to keep track of at first, but I got used to that. And Dow is undercover as someone who is mute, so he cannot talk. And because they are still students, because they're still on their way to become warriors, they are viewing this quest as a chance to prove themselves. So Dow is determined to not speak, to make a good impression and to fulfill his duties. And so the chapters from his point of view are really helpful because you get to be in his head, but most of the time he is not speaking, which was really interesting. I also have these storybook stickers that I show in my haul from Mindwave. Mindwave is who makes the stickers, but I got them from a Etsy shop that I can link below, but they're really cute little storybook themed stickers, which I feel like fit the story really well because along with the forest kind of imagery, they were like in the kingdom. Dow works as a stable hand and the others are traveling musicians, like I said. So they're in the kingdom and around the kingdom in order to find the harp. So I feel like these stickers will go pretty well. And I don't usually use text stickers too much, but I don't want to waste them, so I might actually try to work those in to make it look very storybook. And then I have some of these what are called glazed window stickers, but they're really like stained glass windows in kind of different colorways that I got from Journal Say a while back. Maybe these ones I'll look at. I think that looks good. Still need to move some things around. And then maybe I'll do fewer of the greenery since this paper has so much pattern in it, and then I'll just do a couple of the storybook stickers around. Let's see. I feel like ferns and butterflies are like my most used sticker. If I have a fern sticker or a butterfly sticker, I will be using it because I just think the type of books I read, I really like doing woodland type of spreads. You know, I might try something different that I've been thinking about doing, which is dividing up my page a little differently and essentially doing a column over here for the book and like author and some information, maybe a quote, then doing a section of ephemera and decoration, and then another rectangular section to write about the book. I'm thinking about doing that. Let's try it. It'll be something different, but then we'll see if I have a new format for this year that I like. First, I'll block off my areas. Okay, now let's move all of this and draw my boxes. And I have my 0.3 micron. There we go. Okay, and now with my areas marked off, I can glue my ephemera down. Overall, this book was a little bit long and didn't have as fast of a plot as I prefer, but the writing was really beautiful and I really liked the characters. They were very sincere and each one felt lovable and unique in their own way. And something about her writing made me feel similar way to how I felt growing up reading Tamora Pierce's books. I haven't read Tamora Pierce books in a while, so I could be wrong, but in my memory of how Tamora Pierce's books made me feel, this book was giving me a similar feeling. So in a way, it kind of felt nostalgic to me, and it definitely made me want to read more from Juliette Marillier. So I had an Audible credit, and I had been hearing a lot of good things about Daughter of the Forest, so I went ahead and got that book on audio and started listening to it, and I so far have really been liking that one. I feel like it's captured my interest a lot more, but this book was still really good. Towards the end, the plot picks up, but there was just a while where I wasn't really sure why we cared about the harp so much, and I think the element of mystery was sometimes just leaning towards making me feel like, okay, what's the point, what's going on? But I still really liked it. With this room over here, I want to play around with putting different facts for the book because I might want to continue this if I like it, but putting that I listened to it on audiobook. So maybe I'll do genre, fantasy, author, Juliette Marillier, format, audio, and then I'm going to put a quote from the book here, which the quote I'm going with is, "But in a song or a tale, anything is possible." And then I want to put another one of these. I think I'll put this text one that just says, "Storybook, long, long ago, there lived a pretty girl. She had a much happier life than she ever had." I feel like the text is a little bit silly on this, but I like the look of it. There is a woman who lives in the woods in this story, and I feel like this picture is fitting. But yeah, if you like Juliette Marillier's writing, let me know which book of hers that you've read is your favorite. I'm definitely really drawn to her storytelling. Hence why I started another book by her so soon. And there we go. I feel like this looks really good. I might put one more something up here. I might put this since the white flower kind of stands out against the background a little bit more. And there we go. I think this looks really pretty. I like that it's different than what I normally do, and I like having another kind of template of sorts that I can use for different book layouts, because I think this area over here is nice, and then this looks like plenty of room to write about an average book for me. Sometimes I have a lot more to write. Even with bad books, sometimes I have a lot to say. This book was, like I said, really beautiful, but the plot was very slow. The series, it's the first in a series called Warrior Bards, because again, they're training to be warriors, but they're also bards and musically gifted. So it did end in such a way that I'm curious what would happen next. So I very well might pick up the next one, especially if I see that it picks up the pace a little bit more in the plot. But yeah, I liked it and love her writing, so immediately jumped into Daughter of the Forest, like I said, and I'm really loving that book so far. So 3 stars for this one, but a great author, and now let's write about the book. And there we go. My camera cut out for a second when I was writing, but I think I got a clip of most of it. Here is this book all written about, and I'm really happy with how this spread turned out. I think it's really pretty and different for me, so I feel like this was worth the risk. And now we'll see how the page lies. Might have to cut the paper in the seam, but we'll just see if we can, you know, flatten it down, like fold it like this. And next, I am going to try to fit 2 very dissimilar books on one spread. My last 2 books, which are Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh, which is, as it says, a holiday romance, wintry rom-com, and then Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One by Dr. Joe Dispenza. This is like a psychological self-help type of book. Very different, but my, spreads and how they look, like I've said, don't need to reflect the contents of the book. The spreads are just for fun, and I do like to capture the feeling of the book when I can, of course. But we'll just try to do a spread that ties these 2 together, and then have, a page to write about each of them. This book, because it's nonfiction, I've considered not including nonfiction books in my reading journal, but I really want to include every book I read. I just think it doesn't feel quite the same to make a scrapbook style spread about self-help psychological book. It doesn't feel the same as making, woodland theme for a fantasy book. But it's really important for me to document my thoughts about all of the books. And I have a diary that I use as like a reading companion, where I have it with me when I'm reading and jot down notes about what I'm reading and track like a calendar view, a monthly view of what days I'm reading what book that I can show you. I've shown it here on my channel a couple times. It's the journal that I made the cover for, if you saw that video. But anyway, I am enjoying tracking some things in that book and initial thoughts in there, and then I view this reading journal as like a summary and an archive of all of my book reviews. So that's been nice, just to jot down thoughts while I'm reading in that journal, so I don't forget to come time to fill out this reading journal. But now the question is, what kind of theme will I do to tie these books together? I have this pre-cut washi tape that looks fairly Christmassy, but I'm wondering if we did just the wintry flowers like these, if it kind of ties the white and the red. And this is a holiday book, and January is probably my last chance to do like a winter theme, so I'm thinking I'll do this. I could do wintry themes for the books I read in February, but I will probably already feel like doing spring things, especially because I obviously film, like I'm filming this in February. It's getting closer and closer to spring, so when I film February's books, it'll be March. So sometimes it's hard to make myself do a theme that's like seasonal to the books I read and not seasonal to the season I'm in, but we will see. I think first I will outline both pages because I like to do that when, I'm trying to separate that each page is about a different book. So let's do that. There we go, and now I think I will first put some of this grid paper down. It's the same like sticker type of roll that I was using before, but this one's like a grid. Another thing I like to do when I do two books on one spread is kind of like make them opposite one another, like mirror the other side in some ways. Not sure which one I want to put where yet. And I know these are like Christmas ornaments, but they still look pretty wintry to me, so I might, I don't know, hang some from the top. Holiday Romance was a really cute book. Very fast-paced and fun. But I just don't think I'm in as much of a romance phase as I was last year. Last February I read like 9 romances. I mean, I don't know that they were all romances, but I read a lot last February. And this year, at least right now, I'm just not, there was nothing wrong with the book. I actually liked it a lot, especially towards the end. The book is really cute, but I just am not feeling romances right now. That being said, I guess I should tell you what the book is actually about. So Holiday Romance follows Molly and Andrew who live and work in Chicago. Molly goes to school. She's studying to be a lawyer, but they both fly home every Christmas to Ireland. So they're both from Ireland and they go back every year, and they get to know each other over the years from their flights home. They always end up sitting next to each other even when they don't plan it, and so they form a friendship pretty much based on their interactions on their flights. And then even though they both live in Chicago, the flights are pretty much the only time they hang out and see each other. The rest is like over text. And so they do this for like 10 years, and then the story's told in past timelines of past flights and in a current timeline. And the current timeline, their flight gets delayed. And so they go on this kind of crazy adventure to make it home for Christmas and get to know each other even deeper along the way. But I did like the flashbacks because you could see how they had gotten to know each other and the different like bonding moments they've had throughout the years. And yeah, overall, I thought it was very cute and fun. I just wasn't super into romance right now for whatever reason. I think I felt like reading this book more in December and didn't get around to it. And then I read really big books in December, and sometimes a rom-com can feel like a nice break after a lot of big books, but I think it was just making me feel like a little disconnected going from reading something like Alchemized and Finding Grace to reading this book. Nothing bad. Sometimes I like to switch it up like that, but I think I'm just more of a fantasy mood right now, so I'm trying to kind of go back to mood reading just a little bit, just because it's just easier for me to read more when I'm really enjoying it, of course. And I think I try to push through every book, and I don't usually like regret it or anything, but I do think it makes me start reading fewer and fewer books each month. If I hadn't pushed through and made sure to finish out my books, I think I would have gotten behind. I just wasn't in a big reading mood. So in February, I'm doing a little more mood reading. I like this, and now we can put some stars around. And Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is essentially a book about what you believe shapes your life. And if you always go around believing the same things about yourself, it can be really hard to change. I read it because I had heard good things about it from people that I admire, and I've been wanting to read more nonfiction, and this book was recommended on my Audible account, and because I had heard good things, I went ahead and got it, and I did really like it. I always give books like this 5 stars just because I don't rate them the same. I mean, maybe if I really hated it or disagreed, I would maybe just not rate it at all. But I will say it was very eye-opening and pretty life-changing. I have not applied everything yet. The latter half of the book, or really the end of it, is like application. It teaches you or walks you through a certain kind of meditation, but I found that a little hard to digest via audio. So I might get the physical book just to read those parts or look it up online if I can. Instructions given audibly are kind of hard for me. Sometimes I need to look at it and go over it multiple times, if that makes sense. But anyway, so I definitely think this is the kind of book, and most nonfiction books are for me, the kind of book that I need to read more than once, or I'll go back to certain chapters and sit with them longer. So I finished it once through, so I'm going to put it in my reading journal. That's my rule for books like this, is once I've finished it one time, I go ahead and put it in my reading journal and document it, but then I always let myself go back through and listen to it again, or, you know, pay attention to different parts of it that need to be listened to again, that kind of thing. So I will definitely be re-listening to different chapters, but overall I really enjoyed it. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, he is a popular lecturer, but I have not really listened to his lectures very much. So just because I read this book does not mean I'm the biggest fan of him. I don't know much about him, just to be honest, but I just wanted to say that in case, I don't know. I'm always, with people who give lectures for a living, I always feel like there's so much content out there about them and by them that people have a lot of different opinions about them usually. Like, I'll mention him and some people will be like, oh, that guy, and I'm like, what guy, what has he done? I don't really know. But anyway, I'm definitely interested to hear more of his lectures and content now that I've read his book. But just so you guys know, I don't listen to him loads. I don't know that much about him, but this book was really good and challenges the way you think about yourself, and essentially, and this is, me giving it in layman's terms, I would say this book is about using different meditation and psychological practices to realize what you're thinking about yourself and your life, kind of take control of it or ownership over it, and then redirect it to thinking better about yourself and about your life until you see it. But I wouldn't say it's the same as manifestation teachings, or I mean, I don't think so. I don't know that I've really listened to any manifestation teachings, but anyway, that's just me trying to say it's based in neuroscience, and I thought it was really interesting. So I think this is looking good. I'll cut off a couple little, maybe just this one area of excess up there, and then we can write about the books. There we go. I did like this book enough that if I want to pick up another romance, I would be interested to read more by Catherine Walsh. If any of you are big fans of hers or have other recommendations from her, let me know. I just think I'm not in a big romance phase right now, but that's okay. And a lot of these were on my winter TBR, so that was nice to be able to check off some books on my winter TBR that I intended, like Harp of Kings, Finding Grace, and Holiday Romance all were on my winter TBR. I'm going to give myself until March 20th to read the books on my winter TBR, to just give myself all of winter to try to read those, and then I will make my spring TBR. Maybe I'll go ahead and make that in the beginning of March. I think that'll be fun. I have a lot of books that I realized are coming out that I put on my wish list, coming out the beginning of 2026. So some are about to come out in February, and we'll see if they overtake I kind of meant to give this 3.5 and got carried away and colored in the 4th star, but I don't know that I'm mad at that. It was a good book. We'll see. But anyway, I was just going to say, I don't know if the books that are coming out in February, we'll see if they overtake the ones on my winter TBR, because one of them coming out this month is Agnes Aubert's Magical or Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. It's her new book coming out, and I am really wanting to read that one, so I might go try to get it the day it comes out. I think it comes out the 17th of February. So in like a week or so when I'm filming this. So also, if you guys are interested in a reading vlog, let me know. I was thinking of just getting clips while I'm reading some of these books. I like to watch kind of like cozy vlogs or like ambient videos where there's not always even that much talking, but just kind of like day in the life or reading vlogs. So if you would be interested in a reading vlog, let me know. I have done cozy vlogs here and there, and they don't normally get like a lot of views, but I enjoy making them, so I don't really mind if only a few people want to watch them. But anyway, I just thought I would ask if any of you are interested in a reading vlog. Comment and let me know. I would appreciate the feedback. And now let's write about these two books. I did really like how much they travel in this book. They have to take like the long way home essentially because their flight gets canceled. So they take like a plane to a train to a boat, like that kind of thing. I feel like that's reminiscent of some other stories I can't quite put my finger on, but if you know what I mean, they had this crazy adventure, like another flight would get canceled and then they would move it around and stuff. And I thought that element was really fun. It definitely would make a really good movie. I don't know if it's been adapted to a movie yet, but it felt very much like a good Hallmark or Netflix original Christmas movie. You know, the good ones, not the super, super cheesy ones, but the better ones. And this book, I believe, is the first in, you know, when romance authors do that thing where they have like a trilogy, but the books don't really go together other than the fact that they're like spin-offs. Like a side character from one book will be the main character in the next book, and it will be their romance story. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you call that, like a companion series. This, I believe, is the beginning to a companion series, because when I looked it up on Goodreads, this is the first in like a companion series. So I don't know how many more are out, but I would maybe read the next one next winter before Christmas or something. That could be fun. Next book. And there we go. Here's this one all written about. I think I'll add a couple little like stars to fill in gaps. Really more like diamonds that I do than stars, but. And I definitely do recommend this book, if that wasn't clear. I really liked it. It's just kind of hard for me to summarize, but I think if you, like me, enjoy kind of self-improvement type of books, I think this is a really good one to try out. You can always listen to the sample or the preview on Audible or something and get an idea if you think you would like it. But yeah, here is probably my last wintry spread. I'll try to make February appropriately, you know, not quite full spring yet, but we'll see what I can come up with for February. Here are my spreads and we'll flip through them. So here is my cover spread for January. Then we have Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild. I really like the colors in this one. Then we have Harp of Kings by Juliet Marillier. I like that I did something a little different for this one. And then we have Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And there are my first month spreads in this reading journal. I am really excited to be in a new journal. It makes it feel like it's really the new year. I can't believe we're already in February. I'm still like in January mindset, but I'm really loving this new reading journal. It feels really nice, and it's nice to go from a really thick, chunky one to one that's not so filled out yet. But yeah, I'm excited for more reading journal spreads to come. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, comment a book emoji, and as always, thank you for being here and supporting my channel. I'm so glad that you're here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.